Yo, what's good? Big Z here, and today I'm going to be answering a question that you guys ask me all the time on here, and that is how I learned how to produce. So I'm going to tell you guys how I learned producing, and I'm also going to tell you guys a method I use to improve my production skills really fast. So, like most people, I never went to music production school or anything. I just learned everything I know from YouTube and from just making music messing around. The thing about YouTube though is you gotta kind of weed through a bunch of bad tutorials to get to some good ones. Like there are so many crappy tutorials out there that really will lead you in the wrong direction. When you're starting out, you really don't know what sounds good and what doesn't sound good. So to stay away from any bad tutorials that'll just lead you the wrong way, the best thing to do is watch videos from successful artists that are out there that have put out videos on how they made their own successful songs. Because those songs are already proven to be successful. You know that producer is legit. You know the advice they're giving works because it's worked for themselves. And that's how they've become successful touring DJs. So I've gone through a bunch of my old liked videos on YouTube just so I can show you guys exactly what I watched to learn how to produce. So a lot of these videos were just master classes from popular artists that I knew of. And it's way better to listen to these popular artists because, like I said, they have a proven success record as opposed to some of these YouTubers that honestly don't really know what they're talking about. And that's really one of the reasons that I started my YouTube channel because I noticed there was a big lack of quality dance music production tutorials on YouTube. Yes, there are some great master classes from some huge artists that are really helpful, but I really noticed a lack of like straightforward quality tutorials that got posted regularly on a regular schedule. Because those big artists, you might see like one video a year that's really helpful, but there's nothing constant that you can keep going back to. So I didn't really have any go-to YouTube channels. I would kind of just bounce around different master classes to learn from successful artists. The one YouTube channel I watched like every single video of was this guy named Synth Hacker, who you should totally check out. That's how I learned how to sound design, was just from watching Synth Hacker's YouTube channel. That and just taking what I learned and just messing around. Which brings me to my second point, and this is the method I used to get a lot better at music production a lot faster. So here's what you do. Step one is just spend an entire day writing chords and melodies, like only songwriting. Don't pay attention to sound design or drum samples or anything at all. Just spend a day writing chords and melodies, as many as you can throughout the day. Don't pay attention to if they're good or not, because at the end of the day, you'll have so many to pick from. So then step two is go to sleep, get a little time away from all those chords and melodies you've written, and then the next day, go back and listen to all of them. And what you do is just pick the very best one, your favorite one, out of all the chords and melodies you wrote. So you take the best one out of all those, you weed them out and pick the best one, and then with that one, you build a whole song around it. So spend like 2 or 3 days producing the entire song and mixing the whole thing, and it's very important that you just finish the track and make it as complete as possible. If you always have unfinished ideas, then you're kind of missing out on some vital parts of learning in the production process, like mixing and kind of adding ear candy to the track to make it sound complete. So definitely spend 2 or 3 days with your best songwriting idea that you came up with, just producing the track and mixing it and finishing it. So step three is to repeat that process over and over again. Spend the day songwriting, just writing melodies and chords. Spend the next day picking your favorite one out of all those chords and melodies you wrote and build a song around it and mix the song and completely finish it over the next couple days. A very important part is after you finish a track, don't listen to it until the end of the month. And then at the end of the month, go back and listen to all these songs you finished and then pick the very best one out of those. And it'll be so much easier to be objective with which song is the best when you haven't listened to any of them for a couple weeks or a few days. If you listen to the same song over and over again, then after a certain point you have no idea if it sounds good or not. So at the end of the month, going back to all these songs, then you really know which ones sound good and which ones sound bad. So at the end of the month, after you go back and listen to all those songs you've made, pick the very best one and either release it or find a singer for it and then release it, but it's important that you just pick the best song and just really shelf all the other ones and don't do anything else with them, because then you're really weeding out the great songs from the bad ones, and then you'll learn what you like, you'll learn what makes up a good song, and you'll just improve your production skills a lot faster. So at the end of the year, you'd have 12 of your best songs that have been made out of hundreds of different melodies and chords you've written, and also probably like 50 different finished tracks you've made, and you're just picking the very best ones. So I know people's schedules are different and you don't always have like a full day to work on something or a full week. So you can kind of do this at your own pace. But I find it's very important to separate the songwriting process and the production process, and even more important, to give yourself some space to not hear that song at all while you work on other things, and then come back and pick the best one. And that's a great way to just weed tracks out and also just learn what sounds good and what doesn't. So hopefully this answered some of the questions you guys have been asking me. Hopefully it was helpful to some of you. Anyway, make sure to follow me on Instagram and Spotify below. I'll be coming out with new music relatively soon, so be on the lookout for that. And other than that, I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.
I don't wanna blink, 'cause I'm on the brink of falling. Don't know what it means. Somewhere in between, I went all in.